Now, do you know your animals well? Do you know the source of the meat that ends up on your plate? Welcome to the show. I'm Alex Chamwada, and this is the second and last episode of our series on beef cattle farming in Kenya. We are discussing tracking animals.
Electronic tracking tunaona atatusaidia kwa sababu hata ng'ombe ikibwa na wakora, hata kipeleka mpaka huko kijijini Nairobi itafuatiliwa.
Traceability systems basically in our country are very weak.
In Botswana, each animal has to be registered. They are able to trace any problem with the beef or the product from this animal to this farm.
The technology is there. It is the resources to make it work, and these resources to do awareness and sensitization to see that livestock raising is a business.
That and more in this show, but first, the fact sheet. Kenya has about 17 million cattle, out of which 3.4 million are exotic and 14.1 million are indigenous, according to the population and housing census. There are 17.1 million sheep, 27.7 million goats, and 2.9 million camels. The livestock sector employs about 50% of the country's agricultural sector labor force and contributes substantial earnings to households through sale of livestock and livestock products. It contributes 12% to the country's gross domestic product. It accounts for 90% employment in arid and semi-arid areas. When it comes to beef cattle farming in particular, there is great potential, but that potential has yet to be realized. Challenges facing the sector include poor policy framework and poor funding. In order to achieve good animal husbandry that can lead to proper disease control and ensure quality products, one of the urgent steps experts say must be taken is to improve on traceability of animals right from birth. In the beef cattle production, being able to identify your animal is important. Being able to trace its history is important too. Tracking is equally important, especially for those with large stock, for example, herders who move from place to place with their animals in search of pastures. Now, traditionally, how do farmers identify their animals? We spent time with some herders in West Pokot County to understand how they do it.
Iko alama yetu, kila mtu iko na alama yake. Wengine nakata masikio karibu mara 10, masikio moja, wengine nakata 2. Hii yetu kwanza hii yangu nakata juu tu, na hiyo alama ndio naonyesha hata kikutana na ya mtu. Walesa tu ng'ombe yako masikio iko namna hii.
Kuna clans, sub-clans mbalimbali wanaweka alama yao na inajulikana hii ni ya clan fulani ya sehemu hii. Hiyo ndio watu wanatumia pande hii ku identify yani wanyama yao.
The same method is practiced in Baringo County. In Kimorok, in Baringo South Sub-County, we meet John Busienei Chebet. His livelihood and that of his family depend on these animals, but they are internally displaced. They are victims of the cattle rustling problem that is common in Baringo and Turkana counties.
Hiyo ng'ombe ikienda hakuna wakati mwingine tunaweza fuata. Ng'ombe ikienda kama masaa mawili hivi, hiyo sio yako. Sasa hakuna wakati ya kufuata. Hata kama alama iko. Hiyo imeenda namna hiyo.
Then there is what is called branding that is coordinated by the State Department of Livestock.
There are different methodologies of identifying animals. Our laws of Kenya, chapter 357, is on branding. It says It records the brand, the owner, and for the county. And actually, this office is the registrar of brands. That is the easiest, where you use a hot iron and put the branding mark in appropriate areas in the animal, not to destroy or devalue the hide and skin. The other one is electronic. You can use a radio frequency identification device, the reticulum bolus, where the animal is trained, it remains in the reticulum, and you can go to a probe and actually read in the animal. That is what Botswana have been using. That bolus can give you information when the animal was born, where it has been, if it is transferred to another person, and what type of mitigation have gone there. The one we can use for tracking animal is the same bolus, but now with enabled that can be read at distance. We had piloted one for 15 kilometers. His Excellency the President wanted to see one where you can read from his helicopter, even up to 42 kilometers away. But now our focus is livestock identification, traceability for the purpose of disease, to create confidence to the importer of our animal products that we know what processes the animal went through. But we have capability now to assist the security agencies to also put implant or to put the bolus, which can be read if animals move from another place because of theft to another one. Because then you can just go next to the animal and you read the ownership of the animal.
Animal tracing and tracking could become much easier if the 47 counties in the country, in collaboration with the national government, adapt modern technology. Kenya is lagging behind when it comes to use of technology in livestock management.
Our traditional way of identifying animals, and that is common in most pastoralist communities, is what you call ear cutting, where a clan would have a certain type of notching or cutting of the ear, so that it is possible for me to say, this cow belongs to my clan, this cow belongs to so-and-so. It is not tenable anymore, because that can be demolished, or that can be, anybody can take a cow and cut it in his own way.
Yet the continuous need for improvement in management and production practices is contributing to the increasingly popular use of electronic cattle tags in the cattle industry.
We have also the traditional method of branding, which still works, because you would brand the animal. There is a brand type that is registered by the Ministry of Livestock Development, where every region has got a number. That's also not, I mean, but that happens without registration. We are looking towards a situation where we can do electronic branding, either using a bolus or using an electronic tag that has got a chip that you tag the animal, so that wherever it goes, you can be able to identify it and say that this belongs to so-and-so. But more important is you can be able to trace the history of the animal, from birth, the parentage, and so on and so forth. And that, if you sell that animal and it goes to a place, you can be able to tell them that this animal has not had any disease. It has been properly bred. It has been disinfected against any form of disease, and that the customer is comfortable that this is a healthy animal to slaughter and consume.
The tags, commonly known as EID, are small button-like tags that are placed in the ear. Each EID tag has a unique number printed on it, and the number can also be read by scanning the tag with an EID reader. These tags are designed to last for the life of the animal. But this is not done in a vacuum. Many countries now have proper national registers for their livestock, unlike in Kenya, where the figures we know are only based on the population census. Dr. James Gakuo Mwangi is a Kenyan veterinary expert who has worked in Botswana before and understands how registration of cattle is done there.
In Botswana, each animal has to be registered. All the cattle, they have to be registered, because that is how you get the total livestock population. And the registration has to be done at every farm and it has to be done by each and every farmer. So what normally happens is that when the animal calves down and the calf is there, you'll have to wait for it to reach about 4 to 6 months. Then it has to be ear tagged. Each farmer has got a brand mark that has to be put on that animal, and that brand is registered with the veterinary department. So what normally happens is that each and every animal from 4 to 6 months of age has got that brand mark. So that brand mark with the number of the animal is the one that has to be taken to the veterinary department, and it is also the one that has to be put in the microchip that has to be put in the rumen borers, and then inserted through with the borers applicator into the stomach or into the rumen of the animal. And so that bolus has got the identity of this animal, it has got the name of that farmer, it has got the district where that farmer or that farm is located, and it has got also the information on the disease.
Have to be cleared by a veterinary officer from the respective villages. So that's the only available document we use to track in case there's a problem with the customers. Yeah, this is a Stone Age way of doing things, but this requires an affirmative action from government to direct farmers to invest in that, because it helps both the farmers and the processors like KMC, and of course, I mean, food safety is a standard globally, like in Namibia, South Africa, and Botswana, they have the same. And it's a very good standard. If we could adhere to that, it will really upscale our standards of doing things.
Tell me what you've learned in the countries you've visited in terms of traceability, how it's done. You can give examples, case studies?
Yeah, I can give a very good case study of Namibia. As soon as the calf is born, you fix the chip. And this chip can give you all the information for the 2 years or 3 years until you slaughter that cow, its temperatures on a 24 hours, what it has eaten, the water it's drunk, the medicine it's gotten, and basically you will have all the information online for that cow. Of course, the information can be shared. If I want to buy a cow, let's say from another ranch, you can see the photo when it was born, how big it is, the weight, what it has done, what it has eaten. Like when it had that chip, when it comes here, I don't talk to my vet, I don't talk to, and I just put in the computer, download the information, and I go ahead and slaughter it, because I can see it has met all the standards. But without it, there's nothing, you know, so you have to have like 50 vets here at any one time when you have an operation.
So, like this meat I've bought in a butchery in Ngong, it is not easy to trace it to the source. For example, if the supplier was from Pokot, it's not easy to tell which farmer supplied it. But in some other countries, there would be a batch number, and by just feeding that into a computer, you can trace the history of the cow and trace it to the source, trace it to the farmer who supplied it.
From farm to fork, you can trace, in case, let's say you go and buy meat from your home. You see, when the cow comes to the processor, that chip is fed to a system whereby when you produce a fillet or even a T-bone or whatever, or whatever you pack will be tagged, I mean the name, or there's a barcode which will reflect that it was Chamwada. So as soon as I have a problem with my feed, I just go and get that thing and we can trace you back.
Can that be done in Kenya?
Yes, but it requires serious intervention.